Right, I'll call to order the meeting of the Airport Commission at 4:05 p.m. The first item on the agenda is the acknowledgement of remote commissioners. Commissioners attending remotely, please introduce yourselves.
Connor Daly.
Robin Kenyon.
Helen Rayleigh.
Chip Mason.
All right, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the agenda itself. Do I have a motion? Do I hear a motion to approve the contents of the agenda as proposed?
So moved.
It's moved by Chip. Is there a second?
Second.
Andrew, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have an agenda. Item 3 of our agenda is public forum. We'll bring in this in usual fashion where people in the room will be invited to speak for up to 3 minutes on a topic. If you haven't already signed in with Jillian or Jesse, please do so now. Otherwise, we'll begin in the order of the slips that Jesse has in front of her.
Yes, Michael Holmes.
There we go. Sure, if you'd like. It's small enough if you want to sit in your seat.
All right.
That's go smaller too.
I've never done this before.
That's okay.
So, I live at 5 Elizabeth Street. My name is Mike Holmes. I have some concerns with parking. The path I enjoy, but there's already people parking on it. Is there gonna be a parking lot at the Aviation Deli? When that's torn down? That is a question. Does anybody know the answer to that?
Radnor Public Forum, we do not engage
Okay.
in back and forth, but we will take your question into account.
Understood.
Thank you.
I know last winter when they parked there, it was a disaster, there was trash everywhere, people all hours, headlights in my windows, people sticking needles in their arms all hours of the day over there, hiding in plain sight. There was no patrol, there was nobody patrolling it, if there was, they weren't doing a very good job. I really don't want to have another episode like that. The only entrance to it was on my street, right in front of my house. If you're gonna use that as a parking lot, use Airport Drive. I can't make it answer, obviously, but. People park on our street constantly. I have over 250 recordings of me talking to people. About parking on the street, telling them that there's a cell phone lot. Most of them do not know there's a cell phone lot. They don't know where the cell phone lot is. So maybe it needs to be a pickup waiting lot. I talked to a guy today parked right in front of my house. Well, I don't know where the cell phone lot is. So if you go to the stop sign, take a left all the way to the end. There's a parking lot for the airport for people waiting to pick up people. So, and maybe some signage that says no airport traffic in the neighborhoods. They'll park right in the middle of the fields. They've already driven on a new bike path. They drive into the construction zone. And I know there's only so much that's in your control, but it is a problem caused by the airport. Whether it's poor signage, people not being respectful of other people's property, neighborhoods. I don't know if you have a parking patrol officer, they should drive around, the people that do know about the cell phone lot, think it's unsafe because there's people there smoking dope and drinking at all hours of the day. People that are rude and wandering around. I was talking to Nick earlier, next to my house, with the trees come down over, there was homeless people living under there, I cleaned the trees up. And cleaned up their mess, on a daily basis, I clean trash out the field next to my house, just because it's my neighborhood. I grew up in that neighborhood, I bought my parents' house after they passed, I love this neighborhood. South Road, the police are not much of a help, when there's loud music at the parking lot behind the airport deli at 11 o'clock at night. They say you really want us to send somebody there, for loud music. Yeah, well, we'll see if there's somebody in the area and get somebody over there. We're on the wrong side of Wilson Road for the city council or the police to care anything about. I've reached out to a lot of them about the parking last year. I got some responses back, but the response I got from the police station is it's unenforceable. So as you see, what I've done is put grade stakes up. I raked out where all the dirt was, the dust. When there's dirt, people parking on the grass, it's dirt, dust. I can't open my windows of my house in the summer. So that's where it becomes a quality of life issue to me. So I raked it out, put topsoil down, all the way down the end of the street. I put grade stakes up, I planted grass seed, and I kept most people off of it this summer. But now winter's coming, and I know that's not gonna be like that, and it's just gonna be a mud pit again.
We're at time. You have
Okay.
a concluding one sentence you want to wrap up with?
No,
No?
that's pretty much my complaint.
Okay,
I did not know this was an open forum, I've been here earlier.
that's okay. Thank you. All right, and next we have
Oh. Leave Toronto?
They're parking the van, but we'll be here momentarily if you wanna go to like.
Anyone else in the room? Okay, so we'll go online if you can share the list.
Yes,
Unless you want to start with Rachel. Rachel, okay. Rachel, you can go ahead.
Hi, I'm Rachel Siegel. I live in Burlington. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to us. I had the honor to come and have a meeting with Director Longo and a couple of other folks, and was just so impressed with his attention to the issues going on with migrants being moved through the airport. It was really heartening and wonderful, and I really want to applaud his work. And I hope that I don't know how much you all have been meeting with him or having conversations, but I appreciate any support you're giving him to do that work, because he's really taking some risks, I'd say, and being innovative in ways that I greatly appreciate. And so I hope you will support him and work with him and be as creative and bold and audacious as you can to do the right things. Two things in particular that there's a bunch of things that have already happened that I appreciate that I'm not going to list right now. But two things that I hope will still happen. One is figuring out who can hold TSA accountable. As far as we know, according to ICE's website, the ERO, which is the, I can't remember what it stands for, the agent who is in charge of transporting a detainee through the air, is supposed to show paperwork to airport security. We believe when they say airport security on their website, they mean TSA. But as far as we know, TSA has not been asking for any paperwork. So who can hold them accountable is the question. It'd be wonderful if you all can take that upon yourselves to try to figure out. We've been talking with congressional delegates and all sorts of people. It seems that all over the country, no one knows the answer. And the other thing that we would love to see right now during this break of the fact that ICE is not bringing people through the Burlington airport and haven't since August, as far as we know, they're going elsewhere. They will be back. They left because they don't like being seen. You know, they like operating in secret, but there's a good chance they will be back. And so you have this amazing opportunity during this break to get really ready and figure out what you're going to do when they're back. And one of the things is to create this advocate position, doing the work that those of us just from the public have been doing, of trying to help people get connected with legal support and make sure that they're not being moved illegally through our airport. And the last thing that I will say is that I did email you all a document to summarize the public comment from the August meeting, because it was so long. And I know some of you weren't there, and it's a lot to absorb. And in case it's helpful to you to see it in summary, there's an 8-page version of what was 23 pages. So hopefully that's a little bit useful. If anybody's asking you, what were they talking about or something, you could share that instead of sending them to CCTV to watch the whole thing. Thank you so much. That's it.
Thank you, Rachel. And then next we have.
People that call people that raise.
Oh, that was the only raised hand. Okay, is there anyone else in attending online who would like to participate in public forum? All right, there's none. All right, last chance for in the room, in-person public forum.
I'll just say really quick.
We'll just introduce yourself for
Sure.
everyone.
I'm Julie Masuga. I'm from Burlington. I don't know if Leaf is gonna make it by the time we close out public comment, but yeah, it's echoing a lot of the things that Rachel said. We brought a lot of materials for potential kiosks, for information for people. And we're excited to keep moving that forward. Yeah, that's about it. I think we've had a couple of other comments, but we could probably catch up after the meeting or something if that's appropriate.
Thank you, Julie. All right, with that, we will close down public forum. We will move on to item 4, which is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the contents of the consent agenda as proposed? Was moved by Alan, is there a second? Second by Andrew. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We move on to item 5, which is the construction update from Larry.
Hey, I really have nothing more to report tonight other than what's in my report. I know Nick will report on project next. I guess the highlight of my report is our annual meeting with the FAA on our CIP. Who looks at next year's projects on what we'll be applying for grants for. And also the 5 years beyond that. So in actuality, we will be potentially applying for the cargo apron construction. SRE building construction. We talked about obstruction removal easements. That work has to be done and we get reimbursed with a grant because you can't project what it's gonna cost to do that until you go and get estimates and appraisals and stuff. So we will move that work forward so that we can clear the approaches to 1533. We will apply for a grant for any items that haven't been taken care of for project next, so we can wrap that project up. We will apply for phase 6 of the residential sound installation program. However, we are regrouping on that because well, what's gonna come up in my noise report is we did receive the grant from OLBCC for $7.3 million or about $8.1 million in home improvements for sound installation programs. So that sets us back with the FAA to regroup on how we continue to move forward, in which we will aggressively like we have, but it's a huge win for us. So also we did, the airport heard us when we told them that our centralized de-icing program is our priority project, which we are trying to figure out how that will get funded over the next few years through entitlement and other avenues of growth. So that's pretty much the highlight of my report. If you have any questions, I'll gladly answer them.
All right, commissioners, any questions for Larry? I just want to touch for you, Larry, on item 11.
Yep.
Which is the North Terminal Improvement Project. It talks about the grant being sent back.
Correct.
To just elaborate maybe a little on that.
Right, okay, so we did the North Terminal Improvement Project a couple of years ago. And then there are the access lanes that are unmanned. We in turn applied for a grant for 2 additional lanes. We received the grant and then it was determined that even though we received this grant to do those, very little was eligible to use the grant for. So we have to, if we want to do that, we have to do those lanes on our own, so we have to return that grant. So.
And just to be clear too, that's not the full 2.
Right, it was a $280,000 grant, so about 240 maybe.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
that, I'm sorry, I should correct that, and we need to get rid of this, in fact, I'm gonna clean this up a lot, because you'll see from my report, a lot of stuff is complete now and in closeout mode, so I can reduce the report quite a bit moving forward.
Yep, or I think we did it in the past too, you can just move all the closeout items to the bottom, so you can grab it.
Yeah, right,
You're still working on it.
Right,
It's not
right.
active construction.
right, so unless there's any questions, everything's moving forward.
Yep. Okay, so we'll move on to item 6. Which is noise data or sound mitigation project.
Sound legislation program.
Yep.
Okay, we're moving forward to close out phase 1 and phase 2, which were the pilot programs. Those are completed. Phase 3, the reports where we are on that, and since this, we are pretty much 100% complete as far as housing improvements for phase 3, the homes in that grant. We are waiting for final closeout on most of them, and we have moved forward with phase 4 construction in the last couple of weeks. Phase 5, we're working through we just received the grant a month and a half ago or something like that, so there were submittals and stuff that were due, so we are now completing all the contract agreements with the contractor and the consultants. And of course, the noise exposure map's complete, and then I already reported, they did accept our application for the, OLDCC DOD money, we're projecting about 58 homes or more, for, sound insulation program. That's all I got.
Commissioners, anything for Larry on this topic? All right, thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
We will move on to 6.2, which is further noise information from Jesse.
Yeah, in addition to the written report, just had 3 new comments on noise in September. Bringing the total comments to 835 since we started collecting them in June of 2021. Other than that, no additional comments, for me. Any questions?
Right, Commissioners, anything for Jesse on this topic? All right, thank you, Jesse. We'll move on to item 7, which is the financial update from Marie.
I'm gonna be Marie
You're gonna be
today.
Marie?
Yeah. Marie is out for the holiday, but it's a really positive report for the first 2 months. Obviously, we're into October, but this report is for the first 2 months of the fiscal year. You can see some of the highlights that she pinpointed at the very top, or the very top of the page there on her report. Some of the big things in there as far as revenue and expenditures. You can see, especially on the 3rd page, expenditures are on track from last year. So we're extremely close. I would say the same, although $10,000 short of last year's same number. We're at about 17% of the total year anyway. So when you're looking at those percentages, that's kind of the target that we're looking at for those 2 particular months. Revenues are also up, specifically in the garage. We're up 12% already in the garage. And just as a reminder, we did increase those parking rates. So one of the things that we did new pertaining to Mr. Holmes's comment was provide 1 hour free parking to try to entice people to get off of the streets for parking and enjoy the parking garage, or even better yet, enjoy our terminal for 1 hour free parking. And that's something that we can put on signs as well, which might help that situation. As far as cash flow looks, it's really positive. We're at just shy of $4 million for our cash balance. That might look a little bit low, but those are those ebbs and flows of cash payments, especially on a massive project like Project Next. As of yesterday, our cash account was 5.2 million. So you can see it changes very quickly with those big bills. One highlight in there, maybe not so nice of a highlight, and I'll provide a little bit more context in the director's report. Larry reported on the OLDCC, the Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation, through the Department of Defense for noise mitigation funds. Unfortunately, today is October 1st, which is the start of the federal fiscal year. OLDCC is shut down. That's one of those offices that is no longer providing feedback. But I have to say, not just through Larry and Madison and the team, Marie as well, getting the final grant paperwork in place, getting the final grant documents in place specifically for the $7.3 million grant has been completed prior to the end of the federal fiscal year. And we are scheduled to have some kickoff meetings soon, as if allowed by the unfortunate government shutdown. So that is one of those offices. And again, I'll provide more government shutdown context in my director's report. Other than that, everything looks really good. Cash flow looks really great. The graphics in there are absolutely incredible, and those are really the big highlights from Marie's report.
All right, thank you, Nick. Any questions for Nick on the financials? Go ahead, AJ.
Just a quick question. The introduction to the report here, there's a reference to the ARPA grants from, I guess, originally from 2011 or 2021. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any current closure aside? Is there any indication that ARPA funding isn't going through as normal as the federal government sort of has changed some priorities of grant funding.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, and I'll add on to your question if I can, not just ARPA funding, but all federal reimbursements with all of our grants, right? The answer to your question is no, there's no indication that specifically that almost $770,000 that's still remaining as part of the $7.6 million grant. So the majority of this is spent down already. No indication that that would go away. We do have a 4-year limit on these grants as well, so you can see it opened in November 30th of 2021. So this will be spent down by this November. That's $770,000. Two things. One, on all reimbursements, ARPA and all the other grants that we talk about, we go through a federal grant system that we upload things, and Maria's talked about it in the past as well. That normally shuts down this time of year as they transition federal fiscal years. So pretty much mid-September to mid-October, we cannot request funds through our grants, ARPA included. That's a normal process. We go through that every year. The good thing is Maria is so great at her job that she inputs all of these requests prior to that time frame. All of them have been reimbursed of what we are due. So that's really, really good. And that's part of that 3.7 to the $5.2 million cash change for this year. So we have very little risk because of the shutdown, because of the transition with the federal fiscal year of not receiving these funds. Obviously, we'll monitor that as time goes on with the feds.
Commissioners, any other questions for Nick on financial items? All right, seeing none, we move on to item 8, which is a new feature, the innovation and marketing quarterly update from Jeff.
Good evening, everybody. Jeff Bartley, the Director of Innovation and Marketing. I've been with the airport now for 2 years. And I believe this is the first time that I'm presenting to you to kind of share what my team is working on and a lot of the cool projects we have coming down the pipe, some really important projects that we'll discuss. I'll try to keep this to about 45 minutes. But there's definitely a lot of information to go through.
You meant 4.5.
Innovate to 5. Yeah.
Innovate to 5. I could talk fast, Nick knows. First, I want to introduce my team. One is not with us here today. That's Alexandra Cohen, goes by Alex. She's our marketing assistant. She handles our social media, a lot of our media planning. A lot of our events that we host here is her brainchild, including the recent 5K. She worked very hard on that, along with the operations team. She works with any revenue associated with advertisements in the airport. As she brought forth the Sunflower program, which we launched that initiative last year. And also we have Jillian Waite, who's over here. I like to very passionately refer to her as the glue of the office. She is our office administrator. It's her responsibility to make sure she understands what's happening in each and every division within the airport to provide support. She is the front line of defense and handles our phone calls. Anything from questions on TSA or what's flight status to lost and found. She also manages our help desk, which we've rolled to a technology program, ticketing software, so we can better help our passengers, tenants, etc. So our team, what do we do? I like to say it's not about ideas, it's about making things happen. We take very seriously the feedback we receive from our passengers, our community partners, and try to bring them to light. Some of our main focuses, obviously social media and marketing. We have about a $500,000 marketing budget, which we work with Hagen Associates with. We are closely aligned with Nick on a lot of our government affairs activity. We spend a lot of time in Montpelier, bringing the legislators to our airport and better understand our operations and economic impact. We pay close attention to public relations, things that are happening in the media. For example, with the government lockdown today, we're watching press briefings in Washington, D.C. to just make sure we're staying up with what's happening in the news in case we get questions, which we did today from two news outlets. Passenger satisfaction is on the forefront. I'll share some data with us. We can go backwards. I'll share some a survey that we launch and share airport wide once a month. Business and revenue development. We're obviously the advertisement revenue, but also looking for new opportunities. I did a trial with Local Maverick last year. We helped bring in Kestrel Coffee Roasters, our new concessionaires, which we'll talk about shortly. And we really try to have whatever needs to be done, we're going to do it, and try to assist all the different teams, whether it's from signage to helping draft some memos or branding, public relations, and the like. Couple highlights for us, fostering relationships with the community and state leaders. We've spent 6 or 7 days down in Montpelier. We presented to with Nick and Jesse as well, to the transportation committees in the House and the Senate, as well as the economic development committees in the House and the Senate. We've brought 4 statewide office holders to the airport, gave them a 2 to 4 hour tour all around the airport, bringing them to the fire department and talking about the importance of that organization, Pratt, Whitney, Heritage, and of course, Beta Technologies. We've had some pretty amazing events this year. We hosted about 120 people for the Lake Champlain Chamber Legislative Breakfast right in the tip. We were able to test pilot a new software that allows us to better move people through security if they're visitors. We held the Skyline Soiree, which many of you attended, to celebrate Project Next. We are walking through the new terminal today, and it's amazing that was 4 months ago that Nick Longo had his stage where he sang, and is now, I believe, a bathroom. And then recently, the South Burlington 5K is something that I'm super proud of Alex putting together. It's really important that we have a strong relationship with South Burlington. And I thought that was a great step in the right direction with the Parks and Rec department. They typically had about 200 people running their 5Ks. We had over 500 that ran on our runway and throughout our property. They also held a block party over what we call the dog park for a couple hours afterwards for the kids, which was great. Kestrel Coffee Roasters. We are really hoping, I'm waiting for the text message that they're going to open tomorrow morning. They had their health inspection today, a couple last minute things, but we're super excited to bring them in. And of course, Arrow, our mascot, is a frequent flyer. He's becoming really good friends with Champ as they travel to various different community events throughout South Burlington, and the like. So what's next? I want to lead with the Blue campaign, which I think is a really important initiative that my team brought to me in conversations we had with Nick beginning in early May, late May, in regards to human trafficking and all the conversations around that federally. In the Blue campaign, we've signed an MOU with the Department of Transportation and THS. A lot of airports across the country are embarking on this campaign. It's a necessary 25-minute training video that we're going to require all airport staff to take, and we're also going to roll it out so anybody who's receiving a SITA badge, so a security badge to get into a secure location, they will be required to take that training every 2 years as well. This includes signage, access to various different branding materials, press kits. We're exploring other ways to push this training, maybe even citywide, as well, at trying to get all city employees to take this initiative. It is free, aside from some printing costs and some elbow grease to get it off the ground, but we're super focused on that. We should have that rolling in the next couple of weeks. Legislative efforts are going to be ongoing. We are going to be meeting with Secretary Flynn soon to provide some updates and potential requests for the airport. Another project which Jillian brought forth to me was the Accessibility Enhancement Accreditation Program through ACI. And so we are looking at everything that we're doing at the airport from an accessibility standpoint. And that's not just mobility, but we're talking about maybe some hearing challenges, and the like. That dovetails in with the Sunflower program, which we have already launched. And so we're hoping to reach level 1 in the next 3 to 6 months. Continuing working with Nick on airline development. We were recently with Breeze and had some great conversations in Salt Lake City. Some critical marketing initiatives. One that I think is really important to share is Hello Burlington University of Vermont approached me in regards to partnering on a contract with a national PR firm. And it's about 10% of my marketing budget that I said, yes, we'll move things around with the goal of working to earn some media nationwide about the positive things that are happening in Burlington and in our region. There's been some negative stories in the past, but we really want to help and be the cheerleader of our region, not just to drive more traffic through our airport, but to be good partners with some really important community organizations. Hopefully, in January, February, I'll be coming to you with a new economic impact study. As a reminder, in 2017, that was the last time we did it. Our economic impact was around $1.04 billion. That's pre-COVID. That's pre-beta technologies. Preliminary numbers so already are we're probably going to double, if not triple, those numbers. So we're really excited to get that information. Website redesign every 3 to 4 years. You need to go through this process. It does dovetail into the accessibility enhancement accreditation program to making sure we have necessary tools on the website for accessibility. And so I'm hoping to launch that in February, March, a time period, but that's going to be a pretty big lift with Hagen Associates. We are working on a revamping our sound system throughout the terminal. We do recognize there are portions of the terminal, particularly in the south concourse, that sound is an issue, where announcements can't be heard, music can't be heard, necessary security alerts are not heard. And so we have spent a lot of time in what I affectionately call the rat's nest of our sound system, trying to figure out all the different levers. And we have a company that's going to come in next week and really provide us a guide on how we can fix the system. And finally, a BCA project that Alex has worked very closely on as it relates to a new project. Next, trying to bring in art as part of the new project. And we have gone out we had about 140 artists, I think, respond. We've narrowed it down to 10. There's a committee that's right now scoring all of these artists. So hopefully when we open in March or April time period, there are some pretty amazing art exhibits, and some of them are really cool. I'm not an art person per se, but it's been a lot of fun going through this process and really learning the various different ways we can showcase our region. In the news, we're constantly paying attention. Like most of us in our organizations, I get the Google alerts. We have a couple of softwares that alert us when things are posted on every single social media, whether it's Reddit, X, people want to say Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, etc. We are monitoring everything so that we can field the questions when they come and make sure we're staying alert. A couple of the highlights in the last few weeks is the amazing team at South Burlington, our maintenance team, ambassadors operations. We did have a car fire in the parking garage. Extinguished very quickly. There's no other damage done aside from, unfortunately, that rental car, but no impact to the operations. And we like to tell that story. We continue to talk about our carbon footprint and our carbon accreditation that Larry and Madison talked about, as well as the mass timber grant that we received in Project Next. So constantly just trying to educate and alert the public on there's a lot of really cool, good stuff that's happening here at the airport that we're very proud of. And not just of the actions, but the team behind that's making it happen. So I did want to share just some customer satisfaction results. So every month I send out to the team our satisfaction survey. This is a Survey Monkey style questionnaire. We have expanded and contracted based off of feedback that we're getting from the questions. And it kind of helps us paint a picture of where we are, how are we performing. And then it's also given me a lot of open-ended questions so I can provide all of our airline partners, Skinny Pancake, any of our tenants some feedback on how they're doing, and more importantly, some of the positive things. And I'd like to let the ambassadors know when we get a certain ambassador that's called out for doing something pretty awesome on the curbside. So overall, we're at 7.6. This is last month. We had to go month to month. That's pretty average. We have been going up and down with that, but generally speaking, a lot of our marks are in the 8, 9, and 10 range. How satisfied are you with the convenience and accessibility of our curbside pickup and drop off areas? Again, super high marks, 10% on being called out, 37% of the time. We average about 150 responses to the survey every month. It is collected, we have QR codes throughout the airport, but also 48 hours after you leave the airport, if you signed on to our Wi-Fi, you receive this email asking for feedback. How satisfied? Next question is regards to interactions with your airline, again, in that 7.5 range, with high marks, 8 and 10. TSA, again, 7.7, high marks at the 6, 8, 9, and 10 level. We have a monthly partnering meeting with our janitorial contract, Janitech. We met with them today. And this is routinely one of the highest marks that we receive. People are very happy with the cleanliness of the airport. When we receive negative feedback, it's your typical, hey, this trash can was full type of thing. It's not mass complaints about the airport. So super proud, super happy to share that. We did have a call out. We have 2 particular ladies in the afternoon or morning and afternoon at work that get mentioned a lot for being very happy and engaging with our passengers. Parking garage. I know there's gonna be some updates soon about a new parking garage system, but overall, we are seeing a good satisfaction with our automated parking system. And then finally, the one area we constantly hear that we need to improve, and we are making that improvement with Kestrel Coffee, the expanding of the game zone. We have a new, we call it a business section, but we're opening up another part of the airport for more hold room space, a little quieter, away from the hustle and bustle of the gates, for people to sit down, take a call, do some work. But we do need to improve on our amenities at the airport. We do have some ideas in exploring additional concessionaire space, the idea of a private lounge, and also just more exciting things to do in the airport, including the grand piano. We should be having coming pretty soon to make it our 3rd piano. So overall, that is my update. There's a bunch of other stuff that we're working on, but I think those are some of the highlights, and happy to answer any questions, or Nick, let me know what I missed.
Great, thank you, Jeff. Commissioners, any comments or questions? Sure. I just had one question for you. So the survey data that we've been collecting, how long have we been doing this monthly survey?
13 months.
13 months, okay. And are you seeing any, I know you saw like a point in time, but are you seeing any trends as to like areas where we're gaining ground or areas where we might be slipping?
Yeah, I think overall, as a whole, we're gaining ground. People are very happy with their experience. Airlines, check-in, flights, people are happy with. They always have feedback on more destinations they want. Rental car companies is a new question that we're adding that did have high marks as well. The constant area is our food options. And Nick and I, we're constantly using Skinny Pancake, Kestrel Coffee, trying to solve that, because it is a glaring hole as an experience of the airport, particularly those early mornings, or if there's a delay later in the evening. And a lot of the operational stuff, we take this data, we immediately bring it to the airlines and our ground crews saying, hey, here's something that we're getting, and they're pretty responsive, which is awesome.
All right.
Just one note, excellent presentation. Jeff is gonna come back on a quarterly basis and kind of repeat this presentation with his team. And then on the off quarters, Dave Carmen will also present in a similar fashion to the commission on him and his team's work too. Well, he'll be reporting in the next month or 2.
Great, thank you, Jeff. We'll move on now to item 9, which is the director's report.
All right. So the first slide there is like Larry said, I do like to just highlight the project next. And just showing you a little behind the scenes pictures of the actual construction project. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of detail work going on. Most of the glass is installed throughout the building, specifically on the concourse level. All four of our jet bridge, new locations for the jet bridges that have been poured and are ready to install the actual new jet bridges, which you can see in the bottom right-hand picture. That one is closer to our new jet bridge 4, which is hopefully getting delivered in the next couple of weeks. Lots of conduit, lots of siding going in. The third floor, which is the bottom left-hand picture, which will be the new airport commission location, as well as the airport administration offices for the team. Walls are going up, drywall is going up, and lots of the detail work. So now is the time that not only are we looking at this project with a magnifying glass, making sure everything is where we want it to be, building it as close to perfect as we possibly can, so that we get the final product in that perfect location. But we're also sharing it with our partners. Jeff mentioned we met with Janitech today, and we also showed the Janitech team and the employees this particular space. We're going to be doing that with airlines, AirGuard, Heritage, all sorts of our vendors, whether they use the space or not, because it really is a team collaboration. This is a pretty historical moment with a massively historically funded project, probably the largest project we've ever done, and that's on top of the TIP building that we just opened a couple of years ago. So we're moving fast. The schedule right now brings us to March to potentially move in, or at least a portion of this building, move into the administration offices, and move some of the airline operations over to some of the gates while we work on the demolition of one of the older sections of the airport. But very, very, very exciting. We talk a lot about community and conversations, not just with South Burlington, but the Vermont Air National Guard hosted on the airport. Once again, this isn't a new thing necessarily, but it's been a few years since they hosted their open house. These are some of the pictures that they sent over to us, not just showcasing the general aviation community, the available jobs at the airport, from the flight schools to the tech program that I believe Robin was there for, to our own jobs and opportunities here at the airport, including our very large, very expensive snow removal equipment that was also staged in the distance in the far left, or the top left picture there. Great turnout. We've been meeting with the Air National Guard leadership for many, many months in preparation for this, and also at our request, and at their certainly their understanding. The last time there was an open house, there was a pretty significant parking and access to the event, and we changed that up, allowing access through the airfield, parking on some of their taxiways to get people into the airport a little bit quicker. Our understanding is there's just over 6,000 attendees to the event, which is a great way to showcase a lot of different companies, from Beta to our operations. Heritage Aviation hosted a Girls in Aviation Day recently, and one of their board members is part of, she's actually in the bottom left there in the picture with Arrow, part of the Girls in Aviation program. And the team was able to showcase some of their jobs to 5th through 8th graders from the St. Albans School District, I believe. Not just from Heritage Aviation, but also again our positions, air traffic control, TSA, and of course many of the positions available to these young students in the career of aviation. It was pretty amazing. Had 80-ish students attend the event inside Heritage Aviation hangars, and of course Aero said hello. Jeff already commented on this too, but I wanted to re-highlight the connection with South Burlington. This was a huge event, a joint event that we couldn't have done, not just without the coordination from the team here, but with South Burlington. You can see one of the South Burlington city councilors in the top right picture. Jessie Baker, she's in the bottom left picture, the city manager of South Burlington, really showcasing it. And if you're interested, I have a video of 500 people running through one of our security gates, which is definitely the only time that would happen, and made our hearts race a little bit. But you know, it went so smooth, and you can see maybe one of the most famous people in the bottom right hand picture there, running fast. This is actually right towards the finish line that Robin ran in, which is pretty amazing. A lot of fun, a lot of effort, a lot of paperwork, and Dave and his team really put it, pun intended, through the finish line of making sure FAA, TSA, and everything in between was coordinated. Just for reference for the commission, this isn't just about safety and security, although that was a top priority. This is also about revenue diversion and grant assurances, and FAA getting involved and making sure we're using the airport in an appropriate way for public use. Well, and that public use for an airport, as you can imagine, is for aviation activities. So there's a lot of pressure points to make sure this happens. So not just with the team, but we couldn't have done it without TSA and specifically the Federal Aviation Administration, both local and the airport district office, as well as air traffic controllers in making this event happen. And then just a couple of bullet points here. I've already talked to you about the OLDCC grant, accepted it, City Council has approved it. We're moving full speed ahead as soon as we can with the office of that particular grant. Again, that's the Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation for Noise Mitigation. Coming up for you specifically as a commission, we have a couple of leases that will be presented for your recommendation to Board of Finance and City Council. We are working still with the Vermont Flight Academy for a lease physical extension, as well as the Hangar Condo Association, which has an existing lease. Both of those have existing leases, but we're extending the term on some of these. Beta Technologies has also submitted a bid for what we call Area 5, which is a publicly accessible map of all available aeronautical use spaces on this airfield. Area 5 is literally one of those areas that Beta put in on what we call the Valley West Apron. We weren't able to present that to you today, but I probably will be asking in working with Tim to make sure that a potential special airport commission meeting is held specifically for this item to move forward with the Board of Finance and City Council process for the month of October. Next week, I think it's next week, 10/10. Wow, yeah, October 10th, next Friday, a program called the Education Enrichment for Everyone, or EEE. I don't like to say triple E, but EEE. I'll be presenting about a 45-minute, almost like a TED Talk session with community members and other folks that are part of the membership of the Education Enrichment for Everyone. Lots of people attend those as lecturers over every Friday, I think it is, or just about every Friday, from senior level positions within the state of Vermont, to local historians like Jim Jones, who's an amazing person talking about railroads, to myself for next week, which will be really fun. Jeff talked about interviews that we are going with, moving forward with the Burlington City Arts. I can't tell you how extensive that process is. We've been out tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of construction projects, but I think the intricacy and commitment of the team to really look at artwork and local artists to international artists from all over the world submitting proposals to add art into specifically our new terminal building is really exciting, and it takes up lots of time to make sure that we select correctly and of course make sure we budget appropriately for the project. The team is going on a couple of conferences. We just came back, Jeff and I, from Salt Lake City over to visit Breeze Airways. Jeff and I were able to meet with David Nealman directly, who is the owner or CEO of Breeze Airways, to talk about Burlington. We also met with his senior leadership team one-on-one and through a couple of events to make to really talk about Burlington and how Breeze is really working hard for our community to increase capacity and increase potential destinations. And we have great partnership with all of our airlines, and this is one example of making sure that we keep that commitment to bring new service into the airport for our traveling public. The end of this month, the 25th through the 28th, Jesse, Jeff, and Madison are going to be traveling to Toronto. This is for the Airport Council International North America and Airport Council International World annual conference. This is airport directors and airport leadership from all over the world at a very large conference. Several thousand people attend this one. That's held once a year, obviously annually. Not just for us to meet with vendors and new initiatives, also to learn about legislative action, not just in our country, but in other country. Everything from safety to security to innovative ideas for construction projects. It is a very jam-packed conference. If you recall, Marie, Dave, and Larry went to the opposite conference just a few months ago through the American Association of Airport Executives, or AAAE. I forgot where you guys went, but Atlanta. And it's a very similar conference, but held by two of the largest airport organizers. And then at mid-November, Larry, Madison, and myself are going to be in another state and town that I forgot where, Florida. Again, for the American Association of Airport Executives, specifically about noise and the noise initiatives. I may be a moderator at that conference, specific to some of our projects. I don't know if I told you that yet, but now you know. Which is really good. That's also a very intense conference specific to noise programs. And Burlington certainly is on that map and that conversation of being innovative and accessing a significant amount of funds specifically for noise mitigation. And then I will leave you with the data. So you can see on this first slide here is our real and our projected number of air carrier or airline departures into the airport. You can see from 2019, we're down with the number of departures from almost 12,000 departures to about 9,900. So we are down, but as I presented in previous months, if you flip to the next page, we are up on the number of scheduled seats, again, both past and projected for the rest of this calendar year. 2019, we had 858,000 scheduled seats. Again, these are just the seats. These aren't filled seats. This is just our data point that we use to look at projections and potential revenue. 858,000 this year. For the calendar year, we're looking at about 890,000. So as I tell you, less departures, larger planes, more seats on a particular plane. So we actually do have more opportunities for travel at this airport, and that continues to go up. And then the final slide confirms those numbers of confirms the number of those seats actually being booked and flown in. 2019, we ended the year at 705,000 passengers outbound. This is just outbound. Fiscal year 2025, again, July 1st to June of 2025, the fiscal year that we just ended. We ended with just shy of 720,000 passengers. I think it's about 717 to be more exact. The calendar year, we're looking at about 709,000 total outbound passengers. And the projection into 2026 and calendar year 2026 also looks very positive to look between 710 and 720. 750,000 outbound passengers is the highest number we've ever seen. That was in the 2008, 2009 timeframe. 2019 was our second highest year at 705, or used to be, until we broke that record for this fiscal year and what will be the calendar year again. October, this is October 1st, so we're looking again at a very, very high number. You can see the dashed line on the actual graph. We're just shy of the October 2008 numbers with our projected number of passengers. And these projections are based on about, I think, 80% filled seats. So when you look at the previous slide, it's just 80% of that number. Two last items for you. I just want to quickly relay the obviously what I talked about earlier with the government shutdown. This is the start of the new federal fiscal year. We have three incredibly important partners here at the airport that are federal that have federal employees. Of course, the Transportation Security Administration providing the security checkpoint procedures. National Weather Service, which is just right across this mezzanine area, the only National Weather Service inside of a terminal building in the country. In fact, one of their senior administrators flew in to speak with us a couple of months ago, and she was very, very happy with the connection and our ability to access that entity from an operational standpoint. And then, of course, the Federal Aviation Administration with air traffic controls. So it is a government shutdown. Those entities are essential employees, so there should not be any impact to our operations. But again, it depends on how long these debates and conversations are happening to appropriate, or if there's a continuing resolution to fund the government, at least for a temporary period of time. What we're mostly focused on, especially from an airport entity, is making sure we can provide as much morale support as possible. These are hardworking employees, essential employees, to make sure that the operation of the airport, from aircraft to passengers, are moving smoothly. Essential employees to making sure our operations team and our maintenance team understands the upcoming weather and forecasted weather coming into the area so we can deploy proper resources. These are our friends, these are our neighbors, these are the colleagues that we work with day in and day out. So providing any moral support, whether it's a breakfast or a thank you, and making sure that we relay to any traveling public. These folks are working potentially without receiving a paycheck until this is resolved, and hopefully that will be resolved very quickly. Unfortunately, I can say that throughout my career here, we've seen a couple of these. The biggest one was back in the 2018-19 area, where it was about 35 days long. We really hope that doesn't happen, but we're working with the leadership from all three of these entities to make sure we can help whenever we can and wherever we can. And I will update the commission and the public as often, as frequently as possible. But at this point, there should not be any impact to the schedule. Jeff, and then my last item here is something that Jeff already mentioned, but I just want to call out that car fire in the parking garage one last time. That was actually a picture that was the car fire. I can't tell you how amazed and proud I am of literally being in this room in a meeting with the Chamber, Not Business Roundtable, and Hello Burlington, talking about marketing strategies, talking about airlines, and getting a phone call from Dave and the operations team. And about 20 minutes later, standing with the fire chief or the deputy fire chief, responding to that, saying, nope, we've already deployed water, we've already responded, deployed water, put out the fire, and now we're starting the investigation, all within about a 15 to 20 minute time period. Zero damage to our facility, zero damage to anywhere else. This was a rental car. This wasn't a passenger car, just a rental car. Which there's investigation on exactly what happened, but that would be outside of our duties. And that's 20 minutes, and then Mike is actually gone, but Mike and Andrew and Romeo, our management team for our maintenance division, they were on site, ready to go, called in our employees. So within 15 minutes after the fire being put out, we're sweeping, cleaning up, towing the vehicle, and reopening our parking garage, all within about a 45-minute time period from start of fire to allowing traffic to move through the parking garage. So this is what we train for. That was a small event, but this is what we train for. Talk about, challenge ourselves, whether it's a small parking garage fire to anything more serious out on the airfield. And then we retrain and rebrief and debrief rather, and make sure we're ready to go. And that's a big highlight over the last couple of weeks. Even though it was a challenging event, the ultimate circumstances were just absolutely amazing. That's what I have for you.
All right, thank you, Nick. Commissioners, anything for?
Put a question, on area 5, there may be two-part question. One is, how is that space currently being used, and how does Beta propose or expect to use the space?
Yeah,
I know we'll go into that in greater depth, but
Yep.
I'll just hear high level.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. So area 5, and I'm looking at the map over here. Yeah, area 5 is what we call our Valley West apron. Currently, it is a grass field. There's nothing on that location. We built our Valley West area, and I'll give points to Glenn if he can point to it. Next time I will challenge you. Yep. So that Valley West apron area, we built probably 2 decades-ish ago. And it looked like what you see in the map. There was absolutely nothing surrounding that area. At one point, there was some hangar proposals, there's tech center proposals, lots of things proposed on that space. And then over the course of those decades, additional space was built. So Beta currently has a building where Larry's pointing right there. They have a lease on that, and that lease goes around the corner on the south side of that apron. That's an existing signed lease for them today. They only built half the building, and then they're going to curve around to the next half. So area 5 is on the opposite side. That's the north side of that apron. Again, there's nothing there currently today. We actually have some things in the ground associated with stormwater and glycol de-icing systems, aircraft de-icing systems over there. So area 5, I believe, is one of 6 areas that we put out perpetually on a map that's on our website that is available for anybody to bid on at any point in time. And we did have one bidder on it, but that was that bidder backed out on it, and then Beta was the second and only other bidder that came back. And we've had that posted for close to a 1.5 to 2 years at this point, with nobody interested in it. Beta's use for that will be a hangar that they will build and fund themselves. The contract with us will be strictly just a ground lease with square footage underneath, as we typically do. And then they would fund it and build that building on top of that ground, and remit the payments for the ground lease, which would add to our revenue sources. And that ramp, or that apron right there, is because we've built with federal funds. always going to be available to the public. Obviously, we can't have somebody blocking hangers and doors and all that stuff with aircraft, but that ramp is still a public ramp for anybody to come in and park an aircraft, which we've designed and have tie down spaces on that as well. This is the
Just so that they can see that.
nice. And just
This space right here,
yeah.
is that right?
Oh, right, they can't see it there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that an app on the website? I'm looking at like about BTV, is there a, is it easy to find or?
There should be a development section or a RFP section. Yeah,
I'll take a look on my own time, but yeah, thank you.
perfect.
So it's this space neck right behind where, if you go to just Google Maps, where Vermont Flight
Correct.
Academy is listed,
That's
that space right now. Robin,
So that is the space where the hangar currently is. Which space is area 5?
The north side.
Okay, so the little tiny grass strip between, if you take the cursor and move it to the left,
Between Pratt, Whitney and the apron.
that little strip that is gonna hold another hangar?
That's right, yep, and that'll be a smaller general aviation hangar, and if you look at the context of maybe VFA building, in a small portion of the apron, there's quite a bit of space over there. That
Oh.
has been permitted and is ready to go, obviously pending.
Does it-
approval of City Council.
Will it come out onto the apron? Or not?
Like 5 feet.
Oh, I see. Okay, so yeah, so that makes more sense. So if it came out partially onto the apron, then that would have a little bit more room. Okay.
Right, and that's right, yeah, and it is a it's not as deep of a hangar, obviously, like you said, Robin, there's not a lot of space depth wise in that hangar, but it'll be a long hangar, that will essentially be able to fit one, one Alita aircraft or slightly larger than let's say a King Air, about the size of a King Air aircraft, but nothing behind it, just and then you can fit about 5 of them lengthwise.
Got it.
And with the lease, you'll see not just the lease, but the diagrams and the actual construction area as well.
Right. Sorry, go ahead. On another note, just commenting on your director's report, the events that I was a part of, which was the VTANG and the Fly BTV, were both just had excellent feedback for our teams, both at Vermont Flight Academy and at the college. And we had 12 student volunteers on the runway, and they just had a blast. And we really hope to see that come back again, because the people that I was running along with said that they really enjoyed it.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that back up again. Right, we could not have done it without VFA and Heritage and Beta and we had about 40 volunteers. Our team came in because we had to stage people so many feet to make sure we were monitoring the situation. What was really fascinating, Jeff said we had just over 500 runners. We had people from multiple states come here just to participate in a 5K. And fly in just to run on our runway, which is incredible. Which apparently there's a culture around that, which is pretty awesome, and would go to what Robin just said, which is why we would need to do it again. I told Dave maybe every 6 months we could do it, and he said no, so maybe every year or 2 years.
Yeah, it goes, I mentioned this to you guys before, but we used to do the Pull for Hope with the Cancer Society, and we pulled the FedEx airplane, and that was an awesome fundraiser. It was super well attended, great for the cancer research, and it'd be great if we could bring that back. But it was also a big lift for the volunteers and the security of the airport and everything else. So I do really get it, how hard these things are to put on. The VTANG event is every 2 years, and they just do such a nice job. And the parking thing was totally resolved this year, which was an absolute nightmare last year. And so, or the 2 years ago. So, yeah, well done on all your events.
Commissioners, anything else for Nick on the director? Go ahead, Chip.
Thank you, Tim. Nick, just curious, in light of Beta's recent announcement of its intention to go public, I'm wondering if there has been any conversation. I mean, obviously, I don't know what that means, but change is always not easy. So the answer may be there has been no communication. It's just business as usual. But in whether this addresses previous concern, I think, or maybe of all of us, I don't want to say from a credit concentration perspective, but we have a lot of space with Beta, and if depending on how things go with them, I worry a little bit about that would be ugly, I guess, from where I sit. So, the short, simple question is, I'm guessing you have regular communications with Beta, and this really hasn't come up as any change from ordinary course business, and we'll all have to wait and see. Not every company that wants to go public goes public, and we don't know what the result of that will be.
Right. Yeah, and I would just say too, one, I have not heard directly from Beta about this, and two, I don't know if Beta has announced it like directly that this is what's happening. I think there was some potential speculation that there's going to be some IPO being presented, which I guess doesn't necessarily shock me, but to answer your question directly, you bet there has been a lot of conversation about this in the office, not just from a conflict of interest and policy specific to city employees, but also in the grand scheme of things with risk and anything associated with the lease agreements that we have currently in place. And we did put many protections in those leases to make sure that one, aeronautical uses would always be used for those spaces, but two, really put pressure points to make sure that electric aviation manufacturing were being used for those spaces.
Great. Just to clarify also, I think they have actually filed. It's moved beyond the trade publication rumor. They've actually filed a piece of paper with the Securities and Exchange Commission. So it's not a secret anymore.
Yeah. Perfect.
Well, thank you for that update. And I would just, I think you've heard that's something always in the back of my mind. I, wish nothing but the best of success for Beta, but we are entwined pretty deeply with them right at this point, given all the space. So thank you.
Thank you, Chip. Anything else, commissioners? All right, close down item 9, move to item 10, commissioner items. Item 10.1 is activity updates on activities of the Immigration Customs Enforcement Agency at BTV. Nick, do you have anything you want to share?
So I don't know if Rachel is still on, but thank you for the comment that was said. That was not necessarily, but pretty amazing that was said. So thank you. And honestly, I think there is a lot of work, and we can't. We haven't been necessarily able to do it without a lot of the research and the communication to make sure one, we're following the right paths and following the laws, but at the same time making every available opportunity for folks to understand the resources and options available for a detainee or for a detainee. The airport continues to make sure and tighten our accessibility points throughout the airport, specifically with signage and limitations on access points, potentially removing access points for doors that should not be used, as well as, I've been calling them pamphlets, but I don't know if that's the right word. Resources or documentation around the airport, whether it's signage associated with human trafficking and the items that Jeff presented with the blue light initiative, as well as other signages throughout the airport, which I've presented in the past in all of our restrooms, but also adding literally pamphlets or areas near and around the airport for documentation and materials that people can grab and go and read. We're working on that, and we will be installing those with the kiosks or those areas throughout the airport. And then I think another kind of piece to the puzzle too is I've talked about some of these conferences that we go to. This is a major topic point around the airport industries, both with the Airport Council International as well as the American Association of Airport Executives. So at these conferences, we'll have those conversations at a high level and potentially throughout the conference, but also on a regional level to speak with some of my peers at other airports around the area. And since the last commission meeting, I have met in person with many of the folks, including Manchester, New Hampshire, Bradley, Connecticut, Portland, Maine, that we've had similar conversations and ideas. Again, I think how do I put this? The ultimate item that we have to make sure that we're doing is following the law, following the rules, and following these grant requirements, which I believe we continue to do and will always do. And there's also opportunity for all of these other things that I presented while continuing to follow those rules and those laws. And I think with a lot of help, I think we're able to do that.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Commissioners, any follow-ups on this item? All right. Hearing that, we will.
Sorry,
Oh,
sorry, Tim,
I'm
last
sorry, go ahead,
question. Nick, there was a question sort of asked, and I'm not sure what to do or what to, relating to the, accountability for TSA. I don't know that that's an airport question to ask, but I'm also not sure to whom to direct that inquiry in order to at least make it, be responsive to the request.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can definitely find that out. And with our conversations, we've been able to have those specific questions relayed to those federal entities.
Okay.
Specifically the TSA, waiting response and seeing if they would respond to something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, we have asked those questions specific to what documentation is collected or reviewed. I do, yeah, I think that answers it.
If you do get a response or not get a response, if you could just keep us updated, I think that would be welcome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I mean, my immediate response is the president, but that's too simple a response.
All right, Commissioners, anything else on this item? All right, we'll move to item 11, just follow-up items. So this is an opportunity for commissioners to bring up anything that they would like to be discussed in our next meeting that relates to material presented at this meeting. So I think we have one already, which is from Chip. Are there any follow-up items from commissioners based on activity from today? Here now, I would be curious about the patrolling of the cell phone law and whatnot. I don't know if you want to talk briefly now or save that for next meeting, but with regard to the concern that was brought up earlier.
Sure, yeah. So there are various streets that are not the jurisdiction of the airport, right? The adjacent street and the neighbors. We care greatly about, and we care greatly about are spaces which are available to the public to use, like across the street and the new bike walking path. The cell phone lot street, the streets near the old deli area across the way, streets near an old dog park area, those are South Burlington patrolled streets. So it's not like we can go out there all the time necessarily from that perspective. Do we? Yes, as much as we can, but we're not law enforcement, and we have so many conversations with a lot of folks to not use that space. We've tried to deter some of these actions, whether it's alcohol use or other drug use, by posting signs, posting cameras, posting even curbs to make sure people try not to cross into the lawn areas of these spaces. A lot of these streets don't have curbs. So it's really easy to kind of pull off one person. It happens with one person, and then all of a sudden there's 900 people that did it, and then grass is all dead. So we don't like it either, because it's extremely hard to maintain that grass area. Not to mention the impacts to the neighbors that was brought up by Mr. Holmes. What we continue to do is work with South Burlington, and the patrols that we do are mostly inside of our airfield fence, which does look at and shine spotlights where we need to, and then reports it to the appropriate law enforcement agencies when we know of those types of situations. There's improvements that we can make, right? I've already pinpointed a couple that you mentioned that I think we can start looking at specific to cleaning up spaces or planting new grass or new signage, if appropriate. We have tried so many things throughout the years. We kind of have these ebbs and flows. One thing I really like is making sure that we advise people that, why are you even parking on the street when there's an hour free parking? It's very simple. Use our space. We don't want people using across the street. We have called to and potentially asked for tows and other things. And we've also been denied on some of that too, because it's got to flow through the proper channels with law enforcement. It's a great partnership, and I think you actually said it earlier, maybe even before the meeting. When somebody parks there and then we communicate with it, right? They move, and it's really hard to track in a live type of setting. But that cell phone lot, I agree. I think maybe the signage and the renaming of it and re-advertising it in a different way might help a little bit more of that situation.
Thank you. All right, last call for follow-up items. All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
It's
moved.
moved by Helen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Connor. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Everybody.